Here now to provide an update regarding the Default Protect initiative is John Lander, substituting on behalf of Project Manager Jess Shoup. John, take it away.
Thank you, Tyler. We're glad to be here today to provide an update on a new initiative that we wanted to make sure we included in our Projects Live catalog called Default Protect, which talks about some steps we can do to provide some additional security to our campus environment in terms of the network. So where we're at now is that there's what's called an edge firewall. The edge firewalls are on kind of the edge of our campus network and allow traffic inbound from the different internet service providers we have, like One Community and Internet 2. You know, like any traffic, even your potentially your network at home, some traffic can be detected as malicious or not good, and it can be blocked. But there are ways, as we know in higher education and throughout, for attacks to pass through. You know, this approach really takes blocking after the fact, and we're talking about changing that strategy for the campus. You know, it doesn't give us great metrics to be able to track and report on. Since our network is flat, there's many kind of opportunities for people to give up some sensitive information, and we want to take steps to avoid that. And obviously we have data center firewalls as well, which protects things within the data center, and they have very complex rule sets which could potentially be simplified. So the new strategy that we want to work towards is taking a base position of blocking off-campus external requests denied to start. But we will have an exception process to make sure that certain computers or services have the ability to be allowed for things in the data center or for other services the campus can provide. This is the security standard where we want to go with, and which is kind of considered a better practice for edge firewalls as well. One thing we want to make sure we communicate and are clear, it is not a restriction on outbound network or internet traffic or communications. This is about taking additional steps to protect against malicious traffic that may be trying to come into our network. So what are some of the implications? You know, several years ago with the active learning classrooms, we really took a change of approach in terms of how we're trying to do things in the classroom. This is similar. Obviously, it's not a classroom, but it's a change of approach of how we look at security and protecting the network on our campus. It allows us to greatly reduce the attack surface of our network, and it also fits in with our long-term strategy and things that may be in our strategic plan, where we have more external services like the data centers or Amazon Web Services where specific access is needed, and we can provide specific rules to allow that access. We think it improves the protection of our environment. It will allow us to focus on making sure we meet the needs of any requests or exceptions that come in. And it also allows for better monitoring and a smaller monitoring footprint, all benefits that we feel are valuable as we approach this project. Our strategy is not to do anything that disrupts the teaching, learning, or research of the university, and we have piloted and implemented this in several spots on campus, including the library, dentistry, and Adelbert as examples. Our rollout approach will kind of go in bits and pieces. We'll probably start by targeting some buildings individually, and then or potentially work towards doing large groups of buildings together. We will do that with active communication and engaging the stakeholders to make sure that we take the time to make sure we understand their needs and to do what we need to do to set this default protect environment. There will be an exception process that they can work through the service desk or through our network team to allow for these impacted services or service to be allowed. But one of the big drivers for this is the Republican National Convention. There are steps we want to make sure we take to better protect the campus environment, especially the network, prior to the RNC. So there's an aggressive timeline, which is why we wanted to include it in Projects Live to make sure that we are sharing information and we are being transparent and communicating with the campus environment. So right now it's an active project within our project portfolio, and we've set up some workflows in terms of how information and data will flow across the project team and to stakeholders throughout the campus. We have a draft of the policy that should be published in the near future from our Chief Information Security Officer. And we're also looking at assessing the risk of the total network environment, and as well as individual machines that may be available throughout campus, and really working on formulating that rollout plan in the near future, which will be shared with as we get it ready to go. So next steps, obviously we have to distribute the policy and share it with the campus community. We are working to continue to identify key stakeholders throughout the campus in terms of some of the buildings that are in the near future and longer term. We'll continue to assess risk of potential off and on campus impact, and we'll finalize and share the roll-up plan and communicate to our stakeholders and get this implemented in our time frame, and hopefully give the campus, by this default protect project, a safer campus environment for the network. With that, Tyler, I believe that's all my content. Are there any questions from the audience?
Thanks, John, for that update. One question for you. So if a person at the university, say, does have a system that needs access by the outside world, maybe it's a web server, for instance, what should they do?
They can start by reaching out to our service desk at help.case.edu or 368-HELP, and that will get routed to our network team, and we will do our best, our network team and information security, and we'll address those requests promptly and make sure that we are meeting the needs of our campus customers.
Great. Thank you, John. And one coming in from our online audience, how are we liaising with academic departments on how this new model affects them?
The project team will address that. We will likely have kind of multiple levels of conversation. We'll try to do some face-to-face meetings or WebExes potentially in terms of meeting not only with the technical people within the department, but using technical relationships within the school to get in touch with the proper academic departments to make sure that we are communicating properly and sharing information with them, and are able to kind of provide advice or guidance on next steps as well.
Well, thank you, John.